Welcome to Midlife Matters. I'm Marie, and each week I'm joined by my friends Julie and Mindy to talk about all the topics keeping women in the middle years up at night. Today's episode is another one designed to help you know yourself and your friends better. Join us as we share our answers to some deep and not so deep questions. Let's get started. Listeners, today we have another fun show with lighthearted conversation. And we did a similar show in March called Let's Get to Know Each Other Better, episode 169. So if you like this show, you can always go back and listen to the other one if you haven't heard it yet. But it's always fun to learn new and random things about the people you talk to the most. And Julie and Mindy, I think you guys are just about the people that I talk to the most. Do you think that we know everything about each other by now?
I don't know. Some of these questions go way back in time.
Right.
Yes. And don't we love random questions? I
mean, yeah, that's why those little conversation starter decks can be a fun thing around a dinner table, you know, to kind of get you off your usual path of conversation and onto something new. So listeners, we hope that you'll play along with us as we learn more about ourselves and each other, and then you can ask the people that you talk to the most these questions too. And all these questions were taken from the K-Love Morning Show Facebook page. Mindy follows them on Facebook, and she enjoys reading the comments on their daily questions. And I have to say that once you start reading the comments, you could really go for a long time.
Yeah, that definitely is the fun part, to see what everybody else is saying.
I know.
It is. Yeah, sometimes there's questions I'm like, I don't want to read the comments. I know that's going to be too controversial and I don't need that kind of negativity. And other times I'm like, oh, that's hilarious. I can't wait to see what people said.
Yeah.
I love when people put the super spiritual answer, when you can tell they're looking for just a fun answer.
I know. They're like way over spiritualized that. Okay.
All right, so we're going to also include our own answers and some of our favorite comments. So we've got a lot for you today. All right, Mindy, what was your favorite question from the K-Love questions that you've seen lately? What do you want to talk about first?
Oh my goodness, the options. Do I go deep? Do I go fun? Do I go lighthearted?
Lighthearted.
Where do I start?
We need to start off lighthearted. Yeah.
Let's start out lighthearted. What was on your lunchbox as a kid? I just thought this was so cute. And I actually still have one of my lunchboxes that I keep my flute cleaning supplies in.
Really?
And it is, yes, it is I will post a picture. So cute. Hello Kitty is
Hello Kitty.
on my lunchbox. And the other one that I could remember was Rainbow Bright. So I don't know if those things are still, people are like, what is that?
Well, I think Hello Kitty has been around at least in the last 10 years. I don't know if she's still around. So people probably know her. Rainbow Bright, I'm trying to place. I definitely remember hearing that, but I'm trying to picture what she looks like.
Like she has rainbow hair.
And she had a rainbow. Yes, she does have rainbow hair. And then also I have to throw in strawberry shortcake. That was another.
I was going to say, I couldn't remember specific lunchboxes, but I feel pretty certain that I probably had a strawberry shortcake. And then I was thinking I may have possibly also had a Holly Hobby one, which I can't.
I did too.
Did you? Okay.
And I was afraid to mention that because I thought everybody's going to say, who in the heck is Holly
Well, I was going
Hobby?
to say, I don't really remember who Holly Hobby is except her name. And didn't she have a
bonnet?
Yes, a bonnet.
Wasn't she Amish looking?
Like pioneer type.
Pioneer, like a calico bonnet and an apron. I really don't know why that was on a lunchbox, but
I actually still have 3 Holly Hobby dolls. Because I think she had friends. There was a red gingham, maybe a green gingham, and then a blue gingham. I think blue gingham was Holly Hobby. And I still have those dolls, but I don't remember exactly what she was, if she was a cartoon or what.
Must have been, yeah.
She must have been a cartoon.
Okay, I know you two will not remember this. So I'm interested if any listeners remember the Curiosity Shop.
No.
That was one of my lunchboxes, and it was one of those Saturday morning TV shows.
Okay.
And it was kind of one of the first to mix live action with puppets and cartoons. And so
you were on the cutting edge.
I looked it up last night. This
cute.
looks ancient. It was kind of modeled after Sesame Street, a little bit.
Yeah. The nice thing about this is I'm sure you could go on eBay and find any one of these lunchboxes. Julie, what was the question that appealed to you?
Okay, this is kind of a lighthearted one too. It's, as a kid, you thought this meant someone was rich.
Oh, I loved this question.
Yes.
And the more I thought about it, I just got deeper and deeper into it. But the very first thing that popped into my mind was a 2-story house. Like if you had stairs, you were rich.
Oh,
yeah.
And I grew up in a neighborhood in Memphis where the houses, it's very flat in Memphis. So people didn't have basements. They, flat ranch style houses. So to see stairs meant you were rich. And also kids having phones in their own bedrooms. That to me was like, oh,
that was only on TV.
Yes.
I thought as a kid it meant you were rich. Any of my friends that had HBO, I felt like they must be rich because we never had cable. And if you had HBO and you had that little movie guide and you could watch any movie you wanted to, my goodness, right in your own living room. I also felt that having a vehicle with air conditioning, I don't remember when we finally had a vehicle with air conditioning. Of course, we lived in New York State, so you didn't need it as much as you would need it down here. But I don't think my parents had one until I was just about ready to graduate from high school, which seems like a very long time.
Wow.
So, it wasn't a given that you would have air conditioning in your car when I was growing up.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I knew people that didn't, but we did. Another thing about cars is I remember I carpooled with the family and they always had foreign cars. Like one time they had a Peugeot and I was like, what is a Peugeot? Like my family had Fords or Chevrolets. And so like even a Toyota or a Datsun, I just thought, these people are a little bit above,
Those Toyota people.
A Toyota.
Now you drive a Toyota van, Mindy. You've made it.
Listen, years and years, I am living the dream.
What made you think that people were rich, Mindy?
Name brand clothes. Of course, for me, it's all about the fashion. I remember Esprit was a brand name that I wanted to wear and guess. And I went so far as to my aunt. I always thought she was super rich because she would buy me like a pair of Guess jeans or like a mini skirt for Christmas. And then once I outgrew that, I would take the emblem off the back pocket and I would sew it onto my cheaper jeans.
And did it pass, Mindy? Were people fooled?
Hey, nobody said anything. That's the only time in my life I have wanted to sew. I will put that out there. And I remember the day that my parents had a Sam's membership. We went to Sam's and they had a stack of Gus t-shirts. And it was the biggest emblem on the front of the t-shirt. I'm like, yes, I can get that because my parents will buy me a t-shirt from Sam's.
Any clothing you want at Sam's, sure, throw it in the cart.
Yes. I was like, I have made it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. Well, what were some of the comments that you saw, Julie? Were a lot of them funny?
Okay, I did find 2 very funny ones. One of them was like in all capital letters, the Trapper Keeper notebook. Do you guys remember that?
Oh, the Trapper Keeper, yes.
And then another one that took me way back was Charles chips delivered to your house. And I had a friend, we never had Charles chips delivered to our house, but my neighbor always had them delivered. And I thought that was just the coolest thing because they came in these large cans. Kind of like you would get popcorn at Christmas, those kind of cans. And then you just return the cans and then they delivered chips to your house. But why did people need chips delivered to their house? But
I have never heard of Charles Chips.
You haven't heard of Charles Chips?
No.
But I did see someone in the comments put the Swanson's delivery truck. And yes, I thought, that would make you feel like you were rich.
Yeah, I did see a maid too. And I did have a few friends that had a maid and I thought, oh yeah, that's up there.
Anywhere
that's
around
like
those people.
Another cut above.
Well, that was at school.
It is. I can't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the questions that I liked was drop your best date night ideas on a budget. And I really think that we're always looking. I know we are always looking. And not because, we could spend some money, but at one point in our life, we probably didn't want to spend any money. But I just think I like dates better that are cheaper.
Yes.
There's less pressure. And I don't know, you just seem to enjoy them more. So anyways, I was trying to think of anything outside the norm, and a lot of these were the same. I put walking or bike riding to a new place. We just never get tired of that. And then maybe going out for ice cream afterwards. This weekend, I saw there's going to be a small parade of homes in town, and it's our first weekend as, in quotes, empty nesters. And so I texted Steve. He was upstairs, but I didn't bother going up. I just texted him the picture and said, "Will you go to this with me?" And he said, "Sure, sounds fun." And then I wrote, "Are you being sarcastic?" But I would like to maybe eventually move. And if I don't get him out to some new construction, he's never going to catch any good vision. So we need to go together.
You're planting vision. Okay.
But then I was trying to think of other things for my kids that I've done. And we do this for ourselves, although we don't use it as much as we should. You can buy those entertainment or City Pass books, and you can buy one, get one free at different restaurants. But did you guys do any thought on that question about best date night ideas?
The two random thoughts that I had about that was state parks, visiting state parks. And then the other one was doing a gift card night. To use all your random gift cards that you get, and just restaurant hop and just get dessert with one, or what I mean?
That's fun.
So Bryce and I both are like, oh, we have these gift cards, from Christmas. We need to use them. So a gift card night or a coupon night, same kind of deal.
Yeah. Well, one of the comments that I really liked, and this just kind of really spoke to me, was quality time, period. Just put your phone down and be with me. Take a walk, go on a picnic, sit on the bed of a pickup truck and look at the stars, talking, be silly, sit at home watching a movie, a bonfire and s'mores. Just enjoy each other's company. I really liked that comment because it kind of sums up what we're just really looking for. Whether you spend a lot of money or little money, you're really just looking for quality time.
That's true.
So I like that comment. All right, Mindy, lead us to another question.
Okay. What is one item that best describes you?
This is so hard for me because I'm not good at picking one thing. What did you pick, Mindy?
Okay. Oh, this is sad. My minivan. All right. The reason I'm this was not a hard question for me. I was yeah, it does describe me. There's a lot of people in my family. It has a TV inside. I'm always playing some good music or a podcast. It's clean because I like to be in a clean, organized environment. And I'm going places.
Yeah.
So I just thought, this is my life. The minivan.
It's a little time capsule of Mindy.
It is. It is.
Oh, I did think about my van. My van did cross my mind, but then I thought, I don't want my van to be a reflection of me. And right now it's such a mess. I'm like, no, that is not a reflection of me.
That's not me. I refuse.
One thing I did think about, and it's just because I'm using it all the time right now, and I had it for an I'm a fan, was my Lululemon belt bag. And I swear I have that thing on, 23 hours a day. Not really, but you know what I mean. And I was talking to my daughter about it last week because she was getting ready for college. She goes, "Mom, how much did you pay for that Lululemon bag?" And I said, "I don't know, $29 or $30 or something." And she goes, they're sold out everywhere. She goes, on Poshmark, they're $75 or $80, and I really want one. And she starts showing me all the ways that people are wearing them on Instagram. And of course, they're all wearing them really cute, over the shoulder. But for me, that's not as practical. And I guess that's why the Lululemon bag says a lot about me, is because I'm going to wear it the most practical, comfortable way. I'm going to stuff it full of practical things like my phone, headphones, Kleenex, rubber bands, my keys. I'm not at all using it the way the people on Instagram are, but I do love a good, well-made, functional item.
And you're not going to try to hide that it is a fanny pack.
No, I'm not going to hide it. I wear it proudly just like that.
Oh my gosh. I almost picked that. I do have that same bag.
You do?
And I am just like you. I have fallen in love with it, and I actually wear it the new way.
Okay. That's not as practical, Mindy.
I kind of thought it was.
Yeah, it's easier to get into.
Well, I like to put my phone in and then snake my headphones up, so that, and so, that's why it works better at my waist. But maybe, and I wear it around the house constantly because I'm always trying to listen to something. So,
that is so
I'm not exaggerating when I say I wear it all the time. Yeah, it's so funny, Mindy, because you're so fashionable. So, of course, you wear it the fashionable way. And I'm so practical. I'm like, what works best for me? And that's how I'm wearing it.
Well, and it's what works best for you. Because, like, my daughter will wear it as a fanny pack when she's walking. But then when she's not walking, she does the over the shoulder.
Okay. When she's ready for a picture at any time.
Exactly.
What do you think best describes you, Julie?
Well, I didn't do this question, but when I saw it come across, I immediately thought of my car too, because it's so tiny because I don't have kids riding with me anymore. So it sums up the empty nest. It's a cute, tiny car.
Yes.
And it's not perfectly clean, but it's a lot cleaner than it used to be. And if it's not clean, it's my own fault.
Right. Our own messes are so much easier to live with anyways.
It's true.
Okay, Julie, what's another question that you liked?
I liked, what do you still love to do the old-fashioned way without technology? And my very first thought was a paper calendar, but not just a paper planner. I mean, it's a calendar hanging on the wall in my kitchen. I have a perfect spot for it, and I just like to be able to glance up there and see the whole month and write in those little squares. So, and I know a lot of people did put that answer. But I try to think of some others. Like, okay, we still watch TV, not just streaming. Like, we still have cable. We still watch network TV. And that's just really foreign to my kids,
Right.
It's foreign to me, too. Like, I haven't seen a commercial in ages, unless it's on Hulu and they make you watch it.
Yeah.
Right.
And another thing about my car is I love driving my car because it's a manual transmission, like a stick shift. So that's kind of old.
That is. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's fun to drive. So that's, that was about it. I was surprised to see how many people said that they love to dry their clothes on a clothesline.
What? Oh.
And wash dishes by hand. I thought, these people are crazy.
No, thank you.
Wow.
Who has time for that?
My life falls apart when my dishwasher's broken.
Yeah. I had to do that for a while, and it wasn't fun.
Right.
Yeah. I would definitely put down the paper calendar thing. I don't know if I'll ever be able to switch to a digital calendar, but maybe I'll get there.
I'll kind of use both, but I just I'm going to keep the paper up there.
Yeah, I've switched to my phone. I found that too many people were in my business. This sounds so bad, but like when people would come over, I'm like, I don't want you to know what I'm doing,
like
today.
your doctor's appointment or whatever.
Oh yeah, I'm like, that's just my business. So I felt like, I don't know. I started keeping that on my own personal phone, so it wasn't like public.
Yeah, true, Julie. In your kitchen calendar, do you feel like then guests see all your stuff?
Are guests interested in
I was like, well, if they want to, my handwriting's pretty bad, and I'll just scribble like doctor. I don't put a ton of detail. It's just
right.
OBGYN 10 a.m.
Cancer screening. No, I don't do that.
Yes.
Or then I put BS for Bible study, so they probably wonder what that is.
Well, that's my husband's initial, so somebody might wonder.
That's funny.
This is the very first thought that I had when I read that question, and so I just wrote it down. Yeah. So I'm not trying to be deep or anything, but I literally thought, I want to cultivate relationships the old-fashioned way. I do not want to get to know people over social media. I don't want to keep up with people over social media. I think it's a nice little cherry on top, but like, I really do genuinely like in-person conversations, in-person meetings, because I really missed that. And that was a major point of sadness during COVID, when I couldn't like see people in person or cultivate relationships without technology.
Right. No, I think that's a great point. I even like to make a phone call the old-fashioned way. Like, I don't want to FaceTime.
Oh, Yeah. I'm gonna need a filter on there the older I get.
Why doesn't FaceTime have some good filters? Seriously.
I don't know. Hello.
Every Apple upgrade should include some new filters for FaceTime.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, a question that appealed to me, and I just got done saying that I'm a practical person, was, would you rather dream big or think more realistically?
Oh.
And I just thought, well, who would answer differently than me? I had to read the comments to even see who does dream big, because I put that I'm definitely more realistic, and I don't really like hypotheticals. Right. So I had fun reading the comments to see. One guy said, if I didn't dream big, then I wouldn't have been the voice of the CMAs for the last 20 years and many other TV special episodes. And I thought, wow, that's cool. Like, can't picture his voice, but the next time I hear it, I'll think of that comment. Mm-hmm. What would you guys answer for that?
I'm definitely the more practical, realistic thinker. It's hard if somebody says, if you could do anything you wanted to do or be anything you wanted to be, or where do you want to be in 10 years? I never know how to answer that question.
I don't either. Right. I don't either.
It's like, I'm just living day to day.
Right.
Mindy, are you a big dreamer?
Wow. Okay. Well, I felt like I saw the pendulum swing in my own life. When I was younger, I was a big dreamer. And Bryce and I both were on the same page. And as we've gotten older, we've gotten way more practical. And so I feel like I'm so extremely practical. Like I have felt like I needed to start dreaming again. Like I needed to, I needed to have some big ideas and be creative. And so, anyways, now like my dreams are all centered around like what kind of grandparent I want to be. And I'm watching people and the things they do. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to be like. It's really all centered around being a grandma one day.
So you're dreaming big for your kids to have grandchildren.
Yeah, no pressure.
Make mom's dreams come true. Well, I liked some of the comments. Somebody wrote, I think more realistic. Maybe I should dream bigger, but I'm thankful and grateful for my family and home. And I could relate to that. It was like, well, I could dream bigger, but I am happy with where I am. I thought that. And then someone else wrote, I like to think realistically. Dreams are great. I'm not saying they can't happen, but I just have questions. And I felt like I could have wrote that because I am a very questioning person. And when somebody has a big dream, I immediately think, well, how are you going to make that happen? And how's that going to be practical with this? And what about this other part of your life? Are you just dropping that? Or I immediately have a lot of questions. And then someone else wrote, stay somewhere in the middle. How about realistically big?
Oh, that's great. That is great.
So I don't know. I mean, obviously I could use a little shot of dreaming bigger, but it was nice to know that a lot of other people don't dream big either.
Right.
That's funny because I have a friend who's dreaming big, and in my mind, I think, how are you going to pull that off?
You're questioning also.
Better than thinking, that's never going to happen.
What's your next question, Mindy?
All right, I'm going to take a little turn here. We're going to get a little deeper. What is the biggest lesson I've learned from mistakes that I have made? This was such a thought-provoking question, and I loved it because when I really narrowed it down in my mind, it all came down to forgiveness. To me, I felt that the biggest lesson I've learned is that I have to be willing to forgive myself, or I have to be willing to forgive others to be able to move on, because it's too easy to hold on to past mistakes that then derail your future, or it's too easy to hold on to grudges and become a very grumpy, bitter, unhappy person. And then ultimately, I need Jesus' forgiveness. So I felt like this was something that I had to learn in my life. Sometimes it's harder to forgive someone else than it is to forgive yourself, sometimes vice versa. But I feel like every day I almost have to let go of something to be able to move on, recover, and take that next step.
That was deep, Mindy. Did you think about that question, Julie?
Yeah, just that when you make mistakes and you're aware of them, and then you seek forgiveness, that when other people make mistakes, you realize, oh, I've done that too. And not to hold them, I guess not to assign bad intentions to them, to give them the benefit of the doubt that, well, maybe it was just like when I did that and I didn't know it. I didn't know what I was doing, or I didn't know how that made people feel, or,
Right.
Yeah, that's good. I had a hard time with that because it's such a hypothetical question. It was like, well, what area? Financial mistakes, raising kids mistakes, relationship mistakes. Like there's so many mistakes you could make in life. I know one thing that I've tried to tamp down, but I don't know if I'll just ever be there, but I just wish I was I don't know. I'm not an impulsive decision maker, but I know I've done some things impulsively and then stepped back and thought, darn, I really wish I would have thought about that more before I acted. So, but a lot of those things come with time.
Wow, that surprises me about you, Marie, because you are such a researcher.
That's what I was thinking.
That I'm surprised that you would say you were impulsive.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if other people would say.
What are you impulsive about? Is it the clothes at
we got to know more.
Is it like, what are these impulsive decisions?
Yeah. I feel like we're always impulsive, or I am maybe, about big life decisions. Like it might take me 8 million years to decide on what TV to buy. But if someone said, okay, well, let's move. Okay. Or we're not like huge, big decision planners. Like we just tend to move quickly on something, or on a job decision. I don't know, we're just not, we don't take a lot of time on those big life issues where some people might have like mapped out years in advance where they hope they'll be 10 years from now in their career, and then it's like, oh well, heard about this program, should I sign up? Okay. We just I don't know, we're just more impulsive. We're just not huge planners in that aspect.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could see that at all. Maybe.
Wow. I mean, no. I'm surprised.
I kind of see the two, though. It's not like you have this big written out spreadsheet of your life and, this is where I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. Or even like budgeting, like we don't even have a budget. We're just I don't know. Even know. Maybe impulsive is not the word, but maybe we could think more
spontaneous.
Yeah. Maybe we could think more like long-term, step by step. I don't know.
I feel like that's fearless in a way, like you're not dragged down by fear. But also it comes back to being practical. You're like, okay, it's got more pros than cons. Let's do it.
Yeah. Like I'm thinking of this house that we bought when the kids were 2 and 4, and we'd never even been in it before, but we heard from a friend that it had some good bones inside and would be a good place. And we tried to peek in some windows, but Steve just went down to the courthouse steps one day in his lunch hour and bought it at auction. Then he had to convince a locksmith that we actually owned it and please let us in because they didn't give us any keys. Like, but people just were always like early in our marriage, especially, we're like, you're moving again? You did what? You put your house up for, like, we just don't, it was like, well, that seems like a good deal. And if you don't move today or next week, the auction will be over. So you better take advantage of it.
Wow. That's cool. I like that.
So anyways, I don't know, just we can make decisions pretty quickly, but then that's not always great because then sometimes you find out things later that if you would have thought about it a little bit more.
Oh, life lessons. Ouch.
Yeah. So I don't know. But Steve always says, oh, they all worked out. But I'm thinking of some places that we bought that I think we could have taken a little bit more time to think. All right, Julie, do you have another question that appealed to you?
This one appealed to me because I just read this article kind of about this same topic. And why does it matter if Christians go to church? And I was reading this article. It was in CT Magazine. I get it on Instagram, so I read it there. And that's Christianity Today. And it was talking about, after COVID, like a lot of evangelicals are just kind of dropping church. Like it's just not something they want to return to. And just kind of the effect. I mean, the article went in a different direction, just like how it's affecting the culture and even church. But I just started thinking, like, well, why do I go to church? Like, is it scriptural or is it just personal preference? And it was just kind of a combination of all of those things. But I started thinking, like, if Christ is the head of the church and we're the body, bodies work together, like a bunch of feet hanging out over here and hands can't work if they're not connected to something. So I see it as a connection. Like, you can worship elsewhere, like out in nature, on a hiking trail, at a lake, but it's still not collective worship. And I think we were meant for fellowship and encouragement and prayer, and it's a way to serve. It's hard if everybody's just doing their own thing. It's a place to unite people. And one of the quotes in that article I thought was really interesting. It said, almost any disconnection from organic community leads people to extremism and to anger. And like church is just kind of a place to kind of temper things, I believe, right. From the culture. And I thought church is where we're reminded that this life is less important than the next one. And it really demonstrates, forgiveness and service to one another and what it means to be on a mission with other people in a true local body. So it was just helpful for me because as I'm going back, I've been back in church, but I'm kind of making a commitment to do some things like get back into service at the church and leadership. And it just helped me to kind of solidify my own thoughts as to why I want to be there.
Yeah, that's a good one.
This resonated with me too, Julie. It went back to kind of my first question that I want to cultivate relationships in person. And it was something that I truly missed with meeting with people. But a practical example with my teenage sons, where church requires sacrifice. And I think that that's really healthy to kind of put your will aside, put your time aside, put your calendar aside. I have loved watching my boys. They both decided to block Wednesday night on their work calendar to be able to attend church this year. Last year, this was not something that I forced them to do. This is their decision. But they both decided to be present at youth group on Wednesday nights, which I am totally supportive of. And I like to see that they chose that for themselves. And then even finding a place of service within the youth group and within the church, because I think it's good for teenagers to be able to learn to serve in some capacity while they're still in the home. And I love watching my boys. Even Nathan is stepping out, and ironically, you guys know his journey of learning the piano during COVID. He was asked to be on the youth worship team and play on Wednesday nights. And he's so nervous about it. And it's like, he's a little fearful about it. He's like, I don't know. But he has so much joy playing, but this is going to give him an outlet to use this gift after all the hours and hours he has spent learning. He's never had an opportunity to play, outside of our home. And so it's even given him a chance to cultivate that part of himself. So I love church has so many things to it that require sacrifice, but also an ability to use gifts and serve other people. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I have to go. Like I would be so sad.
Yeah. Did you guys see any comments that appealed to you in that one?
Almost everybody said, I just think it's biblical. We're commanded not to forsake meeting together. A lot of people had that answer.
Right.
And that is true. But I also just wanted to think deeper about why I want to be there too,
Yeah. I do have a funny answer. One little quip is my family has to go to church. Otherwise, we would be arguing with each other at home. So it's really good for us to go and not have some Holy Spirit interaction going on there. So I can pray for my children. We can leave and we're much happier.
Well, one of the questions that I liked was, you're living in 2050. What do you hope to see? And I just liked reading the comments. A lot of the comments were like, I hope the world's getting along better and blah, blah. But I don't really have any hope, I guess, that that's what the case will be. I mean, I don't think people will be any kinder to each other. I don't think the world will be, I don't think we're getting any closer to heaven as time goes on, and we're not going to get closer to heaven on earth. So I don't think the world will necessarily be a better place. So for me, those comments
This is the practical side, not the dreamer side.
I'm like, that's too big of a dream there. So no, I'm not even going to think that I'm going to hope to see that. But I liked these comments. This person wrote, I will be 80. I hope to see my children at peace with their lives and in love with Jesus, and my grandkids mighty warriors for Christ and the world living simply. Let's put that on a, fortune cookie and spread it around. I really liked that one. And then somebody else wrote, good health, my children and their children living Christian lives, my husband by my side healthy too. I really feel like just both those comments sum it up for me in 2050. I'll be in my 70s, and I hope that both those comments are true. But did you guys read that, and were you hoping the world would be a better place?
Yeah, all of those answers, I just thought, gosh, I don't really understand that perspective, just because this isn't the life we're meant to live here.
Right.
Like, I don't see it getting better. I don't. And so my very practical answer was a cure for cancer.
Oh, okay.
I thought, surely by then.
And I saw other people write that too, Julie. I mean, you would think we could have a cure for cancer, you know.
And because, some cancers there are cures for. So that gives me hope that they've, I think they're on the verge of some good things.
Okay. So. Yeah, that would be awesome.
I'm going to bring you guys way up to my shallow universe and tell you what my hope was, that by 2050, we would have a robot that will cook my dinner and clean my whole house. That is exactly where my thoughts went. I was like, look, just cook and clean for me. Come on.
I don't have any hope of that, Mindy, but maybe I'll be surprised.
No, I was not going deep there.
Women have been cooking and cleaning since time immemorial, and I still think it'll be that way.
You'd have to just manage the robot then.
Oh, exactly. I'd like to pull my phone out and you're like, I would like grilled chicken tonight, please.
Then we'll be calling our kids, can you make my robot work?
Exactly.
All right, Mindy, what's your last question?
Okay, I just thought this was fun, and I had an immediate answer, so I wrote it down.
Okay.
What smells better than it tastes?
Smells better than it tastes.
So simple.
What is it?
To me, it's cinnamon rolls. And
like you love how they smell, but you don't like how they taste?
Yes. And so I have learned, especially when I would go in a grocery store in the morning and you would smell from the bakery that they were baking. Oh my goodness. That was a major transformation in my life, to realize that some foods smell better. You get more joy out of the smelling of them than you do out of the tasting of them or eating of them. Because then if I ate one, like I'd have a sugar headache, I would feel, bloated. Like I just don't feel that great. And I remember reading some of the comments and I was like, I don't think I could be friends with that person. Somebody put coffee on there.
Oh, a lot of people do.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And I was like, okay, you just keep that to yourself. I'm drinking it.
Well, I think the way you thought of it was more helpful. It's not that the cinnamon rolls taste bad, but they don't give you the desired satisfaction that the smell does. The taste doesn't. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. I didn't have an answer for that. Yeah. Did you have an answer for that, Julie?
No, I didn't. I pretty much, there's not a whole lot I don't like to eat. So
smell and taste go hand in hand.
Right. Okay, Julie, what's your last question?
Looking for Mr. Right, what is a sign that he's a keeper? And I thought, okay, there's the deep spiritual answer. Like, obviously, I would want him to be a Christian, and
blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But there's a lot of Christians that aren't keepers. So how do we,
Okay.
So I think I just tried to think for John, for Mr. Right, for me, it was that John always valued my input and insight. And I loved that. Like, he wanted to know what I thought about things, or he does want to know what I think about things, and wants me to be involved in decisions, and he wants to please me. He wants to make me happy. And then as a funny thing, he's neater than me. That's always a good thing.
Oh, yes.
He keeps me neat. So I think that was it. That was what attracted me to him, was kind of that whole, like, to be completely known and still loved. He wanted to know. He wanted to know what I really think about things.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about like what attracted you to your spouse. And one of the things about Steve, he never got mad at me. Like I could make the stupidest mistakes. I could do stupid things. You know, if he was teaching me how to drive the stick shift in his car, I could ruin the clutch and he wouldn't get mad. You know what I'm saying? Like he just was very patient, and I just thought, oh, that's a really good quality, because I don't like feeling like I have to walk around on eggshells around people.
Yes. Well, you're hard enough on yourself.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have an answer for that, Mindy?
I did. Well, this is kind of funny because there were two kind of big things, other than all the, things that we talked about, is that we dreamed together. We had the same big dreams for our lives, and also laughter, that we could laugh with each other, at each other, with each other about the same things. And I just felt like we were, kind of on the same wavelength about stuff. So just laughter and dreaming.
Yeah.
I think that's good. Not that we're giving advice here, but if I had to give some young people advice, you might have all this chemistry connection, but if you don't have things in common that you're dreaming about, it's going to be hard later on.
Right. Yeah. And I always think of that funny viral video that went around a few years ago where the woman was like, she shows her husband, I don't know, they're probably been married like 10 years, and he's at the store. I think maybe, the family has the flu and he's picking up supplies. And, it's just like all those things are what really happens in life. Like, cleaning out the cat litter and cleaning up puke. And like, you need to be able to look at someone when they're dating and think, how would they handle those situations? Because life is not like a constant carnival ride here.
No.
There's going to be a lot of days where you're like, oh. All right. Well, my last question was, what do you look forward to at the end of the day? And I think the reason that this appealed to me was because we've had like a lot of shows, not a lot, but a few shows where we talked about morning routines. But I think I almost value like end of the day routines more in my life. I mean, I can remember one time when the kids were little and Steve was traveling, and it gets dark pretty early here, like in December, maybe 4:30, 5 o'clock. My dad stopped by for something. I wasn't expecting him, and he was shocked to find me already in my pajamas. Yeah. But I was like, well, it's just the kids and Steve's gone and it's dark, and it's so comforting to put your pajamas on at the end of the day. It's like,
yes,
it just means like I'm not going anywhere. I'm more relaxed. Like we are home. To me, that's how it would feel at the end of the night. But I was trying to think of, now I just dropped my last two off at college, and now I have the chance to create a nighttime routine that I like more than when kids were at home. And your nighttime routine, you can like think you're going to do all these things, but then they have a question. They need something for school. They need you to run them somewhere. You're out of this at the grocery store. Like you're up till 11 or 12 because there was an argument. But now if there's no one in the house, I get to like create my own end of the day routine. And I'm actually kind of looking forward to that. A little bit. Like I can actually go to bed. You know how, Mindy, I've said, I can't believe, Mindy, how you get to bed early. But if no one's home, I really could get to bed early. Like I really could do it. So I liked this comment, though, the best. I like eating dinner with the family all together. Then I like hearing everyone settle down in the quiet house, and I finally have some time all to myself to pray and spend time with the Lord and a little TV and sweet sleep. I feel like everybody can hear that and be like, yeah, that would be such a nice nighttime routine.
Oh, that sounds like the perfect night.
I mean, it rarely happens once your kids are out of cribs, but I'm saying like it could happen.
Can we go to church at night again? Because
yeah. But how about you guys? What do you look forward to doing at the end of the day?
Well, I like to have a hot tea, some kind of hot drink. And I do that all summer long. It doesn't matter what the weather is outside. I still have my hot drink. And I do just like to kind of sit. I don't have a chair like that's mine, but, find a chair, sit down for just a little bit and read.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
And that is more true in the winter than the summer. Kind of find a cozy spot, build a fire.
Right.
There. I got to have that time before I go to bed.
I know. Yeah, to kind of decompress. Yeah. How about you, Mindy?
Oh, I'm very similar. So I do love to, when everyone is at home, I love to go ahead and shower and get my pajamas on. And so that kind of signals like, all right, we're home. I'm not going anywhere else. I love it. And Marie, I would be like you, it could be 4:30 if it's winter. And if we're done for the night, I'm done.
Right.
The other thing that I love to do is I read my Kindle when I get into bed every night. I'll just read a couple of pages. Though right now I'm reading a really good book, so I'm trying to narrow it down to a couple of pages.
Okay.
But I just love getting into bed and having about 5 minutes. I don't know. There's something about reading a fiction book that gets my mind off of everything else. And I don't think heavy. I don't think deep. I don't really want to think. I just want to read somebody else's mind.
Right.
And go to bed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe sometime we'll have to do a show on the ideal nighttime routine because we've never really explored that before. But I think that has even more potential for me than a morning routine. And I'm looking forward to it.
And I feel like I need help with that. So I would love to delve into that.
Okay. Listeners, send us your ideas on nighttime routines. All right. Well, I loved getting to know these things about you, these little things. I'm glad to know that I'm not the only one that had Holly Hobby. And Mindy, you, that story with the cutting out of the guess name tag, that is just quintessentially Mindy.
That's right. I was bringing it when I was little.
Well, listeners, we would love to hear any of your answers to these questions. If you want to share a picture of your childhood lunchbox, or you want to share something about your nighttime routine, or what made you know your husband was Mr. Right, you can come and find us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast, or email us at midlifematterspodcast@gmail.com. But before we go, we want to do I'm a Fan. All right, Mindy, what are you a fan of this week?
I'm a fan of this, and I also have a funny story to go with it. I have mentioned before that I follow Lulu Loves on Instagram, and she's a midlife influencer, and I just totally love this woman. She's amazing. So one thing I learned from her that I did put into practice was shaving my face. Now,
I saw her doing that.
Oh my gosh. Regular shaver, like you need a separate shaver. Don't go shave your pits and then go shave your face with the same shaver. Okay, that is not good. But once a week or every 2 weeks to be able to shave my face. First of all, we all have little hairs that like to pop up now in midlife, and the older we get, it's going to happen. But it's dermaplaning. So people will go to the dermatologist and have dermaplaning done, and women have been shaving their faces forever, and it's kind of the same thing. It will exfoliate, get rid of dead skin cells. I've noticed my skin has been a little brighter. Okay, so here's my funny story. The first time I did it, I cut my face twice.
I was going to ask you, what do you do if you get a nick?
Nobody noticed, but I visited Abby that week, and she's like, Mom, you have 2 cuts on your face. And I busted out laughing. I'm like, okay, let's just go ahead and laugh at this. And I told her what happened.
Oh my goodness.
Rolling her eyes and shaking her head.
She doesn't use shaving cream. It's right.
No. So, and all I use is my Neutrogena cleanser.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, I didn't tell that she had anything on her face. Did she?
She has something.
Okay.
I didn't actually pay attention to that. I was like, I'm just using what I already used to wash my face.
Oh, okay.
Just a little something. And so I had to be careful because I felt like I shaved off maybe the edge of my eyebrow. Yeah, look, just be careful. And I'm just not very
You
careful.
really
I'm
went all the way up to your
crafty.
eyebrows, and you shave your forehead and everything?
She did it everywhere.
Forehead.
Okay.
So then I'm like, I got to be careful with my side hairs. The whole thing is hilarious when you think about all the things.
Maybe you should do a little reel of you shaving your face, Mindy, and then we'll post it.
You've got to be kidding me. I don't even know how to do a reel.
Well, I don't either, but I'm just saying it's funny.
How about we post her with her reel?
Okay.
She's doing it. She didn't like nick herself. She didn't shave off any hairs that she wanted to keep. She does a great job.
Well, I have heard of this. I've never tried it, but seriously, listeners, if you have tried it and you have any secrets, please find us on Instagram and let us know.
Start with going slow.
Okay. So face shaving.
I might need a little more data on this one.
Something to try. Okay, Julie, what are you a fan of this week?
Okay, I'm a fan of a book that my children's literature book club is reading.
Okay.
And I would say this is more young adult. Like my kids read this in probably 9th or 10th grade. It's called My Antonia by Willa Cather.
Oh, I think my kids did read this in school.
Yeah. And it's about an orphaned boy from Virginia who's sent out to Nebraska to live with his grandparents. And he meets a daughter of this immigrant family. They're from Bohemia, and her name's Antonia. And it's just pioneer life in Nebraska. And then she just uses really beautiful description of the country. And so they become friends. They're both there, their first year on the prairie, early 19th century. And so that, they're both in new places, and they become friends. And it's just kind of how it affects them for the rest of their lives. And it's really a beautiful story. So,
okay.
If you haven't read it,
yeah.
Or if you were probably like me, I probably read Spark Notes in high school.
Okay. Yeah.
That's why I enjoy going back and reading classics, because I did not enjoy them when I was young.
Yeah.
So, and I do now.
Oh, good. Well, I think I've definitely seen that on some of our shelves, or in kids' backpacks. So I'm pretty sure that one or more had to read that book. Maybe
it's considered one of her best books.
So. Okay.
Or it is her best book. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, this week I'm a fan of something at Trader Joe's. It's called their mushroom and herb risotto, and it's really good. And I don't even really know exactly what risotto is, and I didn't bother to Google it. But just like I know that I don't want to have to learn to make it. And so this makes a lot. Like this is enough for company, and it was really good. And the interesting thing about it is my husband does not like mushrooms. And I used to make some dishes, casserole dishes where you would call for cream and mushroom soup. And he could find the one mushroom, the size of a pencil eraser that they even put in cream mushroom soup. He would find that and pick it out and leave it on his plate. Like he does not like mushrooms. But it was so funny. I made this and I didn't tell him that it was mushroom and risotto or mushroom and herb. And so I served it and I thought, well, if he leaves it on his plate, fine. And he calls out and he goes, I was still in the kitchen getting some other plates, and he calls out and goes, "Oh, this is really good. What is this?" And I thought, I finally found a dish where he can't taste the mushroom.
Did you tell him?
No, because he would never eat it again. If I told him, he would never eat it again, no matter how many times I said, "But you liked it the first time." Once he knew it had mushrooms, he wouldn't eat it.
Well, because I love that too, but aren't they pretty obvious?
No, they weren't to me.
Oh,
maybe they weren't to him either. I don't know. But yeah, it was very good. Even my kids all liked it. So it comes in a little box, all the ingredients right there. I think it has like the spices, the risotto, you just add basically water. It was really good. So look for mushroom and herb risotto at Trader Joe's.
I think I bought the frozen.
Oh, this is in a box. This is
I've had
in their
frozen.
Pantry products. Okay. I haven't seen the frozen one.
It's really good.
Oh, all right. Awesome. All right. Well, this was fun to get together and answer these questions, and they can bring out a lot of laughs and also some deep things.
Yeah. Learn something new.
Yeah. Thanks for talking with me about all this.
Oh, yeah. It was fun.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.
All right. Sounds great.
Right, bye. We're so happy you joined us today. You can find the show notes for this episode at midlifematterspodcast.com. Also, please tell a friend about the show and help them hit the free subscribe button on their favorite podcast app. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast. That's where we post pictures and stories about all the things we talk about in each episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.